Hey guys, this is Dan back from the AddMeGamers channel, and today I'm going to be continuing the game 2 between Grubby and Stephano. Of course, on the bottom left corner we have as the red Protoss player as Grubby, and on the top right we do have Stephano as the blue Terran player, blue Zerg player, sorry, I got that one mixed up. And so far, this map is pretty nice. You do have, obviously, this map gives the ability for the players to have 3 bases up with only just one entrance to the actual 3 bases themselves. Of course, the third base has those destructible debris, so we should expect that some time to go down, and of course, the players should go for those 3 bases, if all goes well. Anyways, the scout coming in from Grubby, and we do have, I do believe, the Overlord coming across by Stephano to take a look at exactly what to expect and what production we are going to be having from Stephano himself. The probe just being a typical nuisance, of course, nothing really special. Spawning pool really goes down initially. He's not even going to bother with the second hatchery, as most of the Zerg versus Protoss do drop that spawn pool to get those Zerglings online, because they know that that probe is going to harass them in the beginning, and there's nothing they can do about it. So there's really no point in attacking the hatchery. As you can see, Stephano's not even going to bother pulling his probes off the line, so hatchery will heal up, and we do have that Overlord scanning everything that it requires to scan, scouting I mean. And finally the probe moving down. He does believe if it's a 2-3 minute mark that it's going to move down, as Stephano should be ready to place down his hatchery. And yes, here comes the drone, and of course the probe is going to be trying to delay Stephano's hatchery being placed as quickly as possible. So he's going to try an attempt, first attempt, and I do believe it failed. Second attempt it failed. And is he going to try a third? Is that actual probe going to allow that? No. Grubby just places down that pylon itself. Of course, Stephano slightly ticked off in regards to the pylon. Is he going to let it complete though, or is he going to let it cancel? This is the question. He did obviously sort of in a way, he actually cancelled. Is he going to replace it again? That'll be really funny. He did actually place a couple of those resources, so he knows he's going to lose that in a sense. Here come those Zerglings. I do believe he's going to pull back. Yes, the hatchery is going to be placed down, and we do have the Zerglings coming towards Grubby. Grubby should actually build a wall off as soon, because he knows he scanned it up with the actual probe that those Zerglings are coming, and we do have a complete wall off. So these Zerglings are going to be hit hard, they're going to hit a wall, and he knows that since the Overlord did scan this happening, so he can't really do much. The photon cannon is going to be coming online, should deter these Zerglings. Knowing Stephano, he's going to put a couple of pot shots before the cannon is complete. Cannon is complete, he's going to retreat, of course, not to load those Zerglings. A very nice play by Stephano, really going in for the damage as much as possible. He really wants to give it all he can. Is he going to charge in though? This is the question now. Cannon obviously still taking a couple of pot shots at the Zerglings. Zerglings just out of range. He cancels the actual cybernetics core, replaces it again. A really aggressive play. Recancels it again. All those resources lost by Grubby. I don't know why he cancelled it. He maybe just wanted a complete healed up build. I really didn't comprehend on why exactly he lost it. He maybe didn't want a half-life cybernetics core. Probe drops down. The second probe is most probably going to drop though. Is it going to survive? It is going to survive. It just goes back. Stephano being complete nuisance of obviously going for that Nexus itself. We do have the cybernetics core that just got rebuilt again the second time round, though very interesting to see in terms of Stephano. Stephano obviously going for Zerglings. We do have second and third hatchery being placed down, really going for the expand, skipping that close base third expand as he has those debris. But later on, of course, I will start calling this the fourth hatchery, otherwise I'll just get it all mixed up. And a couple of zealots going to be chasing the Zerglings around. It's pretty funny, of course. The Zerglings are gonna, of course, run away, give it a couple more pot shots to the actual probes. Very nice micro from Stephano, really being as much of a nuisance as he can with these 2 Zerglings. Probes being pulled off the line, managed to kill off one Zergling. The second Zergling decides to screw that, he doesn't want to get killed by probes. Runs up to the main base of Grubby and decides to take an additional scouting patrol before he actually heads down. And we do have that first what do? We do have that Zealot, of course, in play. We do have those Nexus, and that Sentry is also coming online. So that Sentry should be able to, I do believe, flank. Is he going to actually try to flank out the Zergling itself? Yes, he is. He's going to flank the Zergling. Really nice play from Grubby. Zergling should be able to drop, and we do have that pylon being placed nicely ahead on the top corner. This pylon itself is very nice because you can actually warp the units directly down on the platform and they don't have to go all the way around. And of course, placing pylons around, same thing like the Terrans usually do. They do place supply depots. Also gives that extra vision, so in case something is coming from the air, it's good to keep an eye out, and that pylon obviously gives that extra vision. So otherwise, well, let's take a look at Stephano. Stephano obviously moved down a couple of drones down here to his third base itself, so mining going on with the third base. His queen obviously spewing down those additional larvae. I do believe he wants to get as many as possible up and ready and running, so he is really going for that, I do believe. We do of course have the weapons 1 coming up for Grubby. We do have the War Prison as well, so we're going to see some War Prison harass from Grubby itself, from the robotics facility. Pretty interesting to see metabolic boost, so we should have those a little quicker Zerglings. He put up 2 sentries and 1 zealot. Really interesting to see what exactly is going to happen here. Here comes the War Prison harass. I don't know exactly where he's going to be. Did he still route it? No. He's actually just manually moving this War Prison. Now he finally gave it a route, so we should be able to take a look. He is probably going to drop it somewhere down here, so really interesting to see. Obviously Stephano doesn't have a clue that this is going to happen. I don't know, the 2 sentries and that 1 zealot probably won't do a lot of damage, but let's see what exactly he has in mind. Really interesting to see in terms of this War Prison drop. Here he gets unloaded, 1 sentry, 2nd sentry gets dropped down, force fields being placed, a very nice sandwich force fields. This should make Stephano very frustrated. Drones can't run away. He reloads the actual sentries themselves, so drops down the actual zealot itself. Zealot's going for the queen, sentries down, trying to do a little bit of damage. Actually, drones are being pushed to attack the zealot itself. Zealot might actually drop due to the actual drones and the queen taking care of it. Queen just barely alive. More warpins, of course, from the actual War Prison. We do have another zealot and another sentry. Drones being pulled off the line, and they are being retreated now. They are going to surround. No, they are not. We have 4 more zealots in play. These drones should be pulled off now. Stephano Zerglings coming into play. Queen just managing to survive with 1 health. This is ridiculous. Another force field does make those Zerglings have to go around. Makes them go around. Three zealots taking care of those Zerglings. Trying to move into the corner to be able to corner off those Zerglings, not make it that easy to surround and kill them off. Of course, the War Prison decides to load them all up, and he is going to try to drop as many as possible. He is still attacking that War Prison. That War Prison is really taking a lot of damage. War Prison drops. He did manage to unload that 1 Zergling, and that Zergling dies. Very nice harass by Stephano. Really very, very interesting to see. Let's take a look at the units killed. We do, of course, have 22 for Grubby and 11 for Stephano, so obviously Grubby is in the lead, and you see the workers killed. He did kill off actually 8 though, so really nice play from Grubby itself. Here is of course the observer scouting out exactly on what is going on. We do have of course the level 1 for the Zerg coming online. We do of course have a couple of Hydralisks coming into play. Do we have that Roachworm? Yes, that Roachworm is coming online. Look at the amount of Hydralisks. This is going to be nice retaliation effect. Obviously Stephano is pretty ticked off and is going to go in for the kill itself. A Zealot drops. He's going to be moving in. Obviously Grubby knows that, so he's repositioning his troops and putting down another photon cannon to expect this actual attack coming in. I don't believe that he doesn't have the range for these Hydralisks. They should be able to pick up this forge. Yes, they do. They're going to pick up this forge really easily. Anyways, he does need that so he can move out the actual Immortals. If he decides to move out the Immortals, Hydralisks decide to back off. We do have more Groove Spine research coming online. The Reconstitution, of course, research level 2 as well. Missile attack, and we do have another hatchery. So finally we do have the 4th hatchery. This I'll be calling it the 3rd from now on, and this will be the 4th, otherwise I'll just get the whole thing mixed up. We'd have Colossus coming online, so as well as the Thermal Lance. Pretty interesting to see. Where is that Colossus? Should be here, and the Thermal Lance, and we do have another robotics facility, so 2 Colossus in production currently. A very nice play, and we do have that 3rd base for the Protoss itself. Thermal Lance already halfway through. We do have, of course, the Spire. Spire might be actually being built. I don't know if he actually did manage to scout it out in terms of... Actually, he did when he actually charged in. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look if he actually managed to scout out the... No, he didn't. He didn't manage to scout the... Actually, I do believe he did. Yes, he might actually manage... No, he didn't. He didn't scout the actual robotics facility, but I do believe Stephano knows that it's coming, so he might get a couple of those corruptors into play. Those 2 Colossus are going to be complete. The other forge is being rebuilt as that forge dropped down here. Where's that forge being rebuilt? Yes, nicely tucked away in the corner, so he does want to keep that forge hidden away so we can keep those upgrades churning out. Spire nearly complete. We do have that evolution chamber as well, so we should expect a couple of more upgrades coming online. The observer obviously very nicely tucked away here, able to see everything, really everything nicely. Since this is the center and most of the units are going to be plopped down here, So Spire are going to be completed. Do we have those? Yes, we have those Corruptors, of course, to counter those Colossus. So Stephano really on par with Grubby's strategy, even though he didn't scout it. He does have a gut feeling. Here comes the push by Grubby itself. He did place down those force fields, blocking off those Hydralisks and those Roaches itself. He is going up for the 4th base itself, but I do believe those force fields are going to drop a little bit too early. Again, the push is coming pretty aggressive. Is the Warp Prison is here as well. Is he going to be warping in? The Warp Prison gets dropped, and those units, another force field gets placed down in the back. Actually does manage to block off the rest of the units. This Colossus is going to drop, and the force fields do manage to keep this place alive. Colossus really frying those units themselves. Of course, here come the Corruptors, dropping those Colossus pretty quickly. Force fields dropped, Hydralisks and Roaches pushing forward, and Grubby decides to retreat. Obviously, he's being completely outnumbered, especially those Corruptors are dropping those Colossus, and Grubby knows that. He's just retreating back. He's running for his dear life. Are these Colossus going to actually survive? This one might, but this one's going to drop for sure. These Stalkers here are just trying to keep that Colossus alive, but it's really pointless, sacrificial. The Stalkers are going to die, and they are retreating to the safety of the base with those cannons and those Corruptors. The force field obviously prevents Stephano, forcing him to retreat. I don't believe he's going to go for anything. He's just going to drop, of course, the gateway itself to do a little bit of damage, and more force fields could be placed by Stephano himself, but he decides to go for the push. Those Colossus are really going to be frying those units down, especially those Hydralisks and those Earthlings, but those Corruptors, of course, target firing those Colossus. Another Colossus drops. We do have 2 more Colossus. That Colossus retreating, of course, gets dropped itself. The cannon's still going forward, and that Colossus is still alive, trying to fry as many Roaches as possible. Stalkers still, they're not even target firing the actual Corruptors themselves. He decides to retreat. More Warpins coming in. We do have a couple of more Zealots, and those Corruptors still going for that Colossus. That Colossus should drop. The moment it drops, it will turn the tide. Though the Stalkers seem to finally push back Stephano. Stephano decides to retreat. Seriously, this fight, I do believe, was sort of 50-50 for both players. Of course, that wall being rebuilt as quickly as possible. So here comes another push again. This is really ridiculous. Stephano really pushing that. He cancels it. He doesn't want to lose the resources. At least he might get the second gateway up. That Colossus, of course, is really going to do a little bit of damage in terms of those Roaches, but it's still only one. More Warpins coming into play. Those Roaches should be able to kill those Warpins pretty quickly, and that Colossus does manage to fry him up. More Zealots. We do have 4 or 5 more Zealots in play. Those Roaches are really streaming across the map. We do have a couple more reinforcements. This gateway is going to most probably drop. I don't believe it's going to survive. He decides to actually, no, he actually doesn't cancel it. It does get dropped, and Roaches being split up, going to harass the actual production line here as well. We do have more photon cannons as well being placed down here as the line is being moved back to the middle base, to the second base itself. Roaches trying to stream across the line. Grubby, of course, trying to block them off with the Zealots themselves. Of course, more houses coming to those probes. Let's take a look at those probes themselves. The units killed. Let's take a look at the workers killed. 10 for Stephano itself, and of course that number is going to increase as the Roaches are still going to keep going for it. 11 now, and we do have the last Colossus standing, and otherwise I don't believe any more units coming into play. We do have, of course, a split of Roaches coming to the other base itself, and another split coming down towards this as well. We do have 2 Immortals in play. We do have a lot of Zealots as well. This should be able to crush this push itself pretty easily, especially since Stephano, I don't know why he was actually targeting. He is actually trying to power down those gateway units, gateway buildings. Actually, that's pretty smart. Is he going to get that down? He's going to power down. No more reinforcements, and we do have, of course, Stephano also not only powering down those gateway units, he actually managed to drop the supply down for Grubby. So Grubby really can't produce anything right now. Really very interesting tactic. Of course, more Roaches streaming down. Grubby finally managed to get supply back up. He's at 110. He can only produce 1 unit currently, though. He really needs to get more of those pylons down. As you can see, Grubby drastically trying to get those pylons back up and running, though. Does he have any more pylons coming up online? No, yes, he does have a few more pylons coming up online. More Warpins. Still, this push is coming in with these Roaches. Very aggressive, very aggressive. More Roaches streaming across the map. Very aggressive Stephano style. We do have 20 more Zerglings, of course. The ground level and attack level +1. We do have, of course, 1 Immortal as well. Those are robotics facilities still churning out those Colossus, as that Colossus is really key to being able to fry these damn Roaches, as they are being pretty pesky. These Immortals are, of course, again, very, very effective against the Roaches. Unfortunately, the robotics facility drops. These Immortals he needs to produce more of these Immortals, especially to counter the amount of Roaches coming down from Stephano. This is really pointless. Stephano decides, screw it, I'm going to cut the losses, I'm going to go back, regroup, rechange my strategy, rethink it, and go back towards it. I do believe Grubby needs this sort of a little bit of fresh air and this chance to revitalize his actual economy itself and maybe strike back. I don't believe this is going to happen, as his secondary base is already nearly mined out, primary base completely mined out, and his third already on the way. His third is pretty fresh though, so far so good. Grubby still have some resources, but look at Stephano. He's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bases. 8th being now the latest one online. Nice saturation for most of the bases itself. We do have quite a lot of units. This he didn't even bother saturating this. We do have just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 6 bases. I did presume. Here comes the push from Grubby, of course, trying to retaliate. But look at the amount of corruptors. They're going to drop that. That Guardian Shield's not going to do really much any good. Forcing the Hydralisks to go around the force fields and stuff. He's going to have to retreat. Very, very lousy push from Grubby itself. I don't know why he pushed out so early. He just really was, I presume, just pissed off. He's just trying to retaliate in any circumstances whatsoever, though. That very nice round forcing the cancel of the Nexus itself, and another couple of resources are going to be lost in terms of Grubby himself. Let's take a look at the minerals. The production line so far is, you can see, substantially well in the lead. Stephano, look at the amount of bases he has. It's nearly double. Okay, maybe not double, maybe 40% more than actual Grubby has, though. So I don't really see this game looking very bright towards Grubby. This is really just a matter of time before Stephano does manage to get these bases up and running, and he will be able to crush Grubby. I do presume so. We never know. The ties might change, but this is not looking good, even though there's Archons in play. This is a hefty Protoss ball itself, but with the amount of Hydralisks and the amount of Zerglings as well in play. Here comes the Observer, of course. He knows that this is coming. We don't have any. We do have a couple of sentries. That one force field down, a misplacement on the force field. Very nice concave made by. Here come those beautiful force field placements by Grubby itself. Unfortunately, Stephano didn't decide to bite the bait, and those force fields did go to a waste. Again, he's trying to place that concave movement. Very, very key to have that concave placement of these positions when you are attacking. Of course, more upgrades coming in for Stephano. He has the level 2 ground and weapons attack for those Zerglings, 2 more Stalkers, 2 more Colossus online, and we have 6 more Corruptors to counter these actual Colossus themselves. So here comes a little bit of a tease by those Colossus to pull in Stephano's Zerg army itself. Corruptors fall, of course. I do believe some force fields should be coming up now to keep those Hydralisks at bay. No force fields coming up. This is a very, very nice round by Stephano. Grubby is going to pay for that. He should have placed those force fields down, of course. Very nice flank by the Corruptors. Drop down all the actual Colossus themselves, and Grubby decides that's it, end of game. And this is it for game 2 with Stephano versus Grubby. This was a very nice game. I did really enjoy the Warp Harass. A very nice sandwich move. I didn't see that really quite a while. I haven't seen that happen, and unfortunately, if he did place down 1 or 2 Mozellas, it would have been a little more effective. But overall, seriously, Stephano with his macro style was really unbelievable. He already has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 bases, and look at the amount of creep spread. Nearly half the map already. Very nice play, very nice macro play from Stephano, and as always, happy gaming, and see you again in my next StarCraft 2 commentary.